You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast.
It's the KKP on your mother flipping airways. Hear the name ringing through the halls and the stairways. You were listening to a pod that can segue all the latest topics, guaranteed to fill your headspace. It's a safe place to voice your opinion. Say what you feel, just like you're a kid again. Kid to pro and friends, black as obsidian. Chaotic culture, that's the world we living in. So what's the word?
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and black culture is supreme. This podcast will deep dive into modern black culture and how millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha can navigate the crazy parts from finances, black business highlights, black professionals, community, content creators, home ownership, HBCU sports, anime, black nerddom, wrestling, and especially black music. If it encompasses black culture, we are going to cover it. Live from the 410, I am the host and the creator of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, aka the Calculating Millennial, aka the Encore presentation.
Can I get an encore? Do you want more?
AKA your favorite toxic adjacent king, Ked the Poet, Ked the Closer, all that good shit. 843 is me. Baltimore's the place to be. Always chaotic, never toxic most days, and back again once again with your favorite black culture highlights and black culture shenanigans. Breathe. All right. So this episode is going to be kind of a short one. It just depends on if we get any guests or not, whether we get anybody from the crew or if we get anybody from It Mob to pop in. But regardless, I definitely wanted to come y'all today with some content here to talk about a few things that have, of course, happened in the culture, as well as just some nonchalant things as well, to talk about, because I want to be sure that we try to be consistent until we get to August. So with that being said, let's start off, of course, with the mental health check. This week, I'm okay. I got paid, even though most of that money went to bills and rent. And yeah, I'm a broke boy again. But I will say that it's going to take some use to getting paid on a bi-weekly basis again, because I just came from a job where I got paid monthly, and I'm used to spending most of my check at the beginning of the month to take care of all my bills and everything that I'm gonna need at least for the rest of the month. So now I have to kind of restructure my budget, because it's hey, you're not getting a big lump sum dump at the top of the month. You are getting paid on a bi-weekly basis. So now I just have to adjust to that again. But other than that, I can't complain about life. I'm still in good health. God is still good. I am in good spirits, and that's really all that matters. I will say an event that is happening this week is one of my little cousins. She's having her first birthday party this week. So, I actually get a chance to see my mom and my godmom come up here. They're actually going to be spending some time here with me, so that way we can go down and see our baby cousin. So always glad to get a chance to spend some time with family, loved ones, and especially moms. So I am definitely excited about that. Related to that as well, I will be missing DreamCon this year for the first time in 4 or 5 years. It's regrettable, but the funds just ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Between not having a job and then finding a job and then having to move and having to deal with moving expenses, it's I got to pick my battles and I got to make sacrifices. So unfortunately, I will not be attending DreamCon. I did end up giving my badge away to who I will not say, but still, it will suck, because I will be on social media, and I know for a fact that everybody's going to be posting their DreamCon cosplays and their DreamCon fits and the parties and footage of all the panels and all the workshops and all of the celebs that are going to be there. And I know I'm going to get FOMO real bad. But that being said, DreamCon ain't going anywhere, and there's an opportunity for me to go next year. I will take that, and I will, of course, do better at making sure that I'll have the funds available so that I can go next year. And what I am going to do is I'm going to try to attempt to have, try to get a panel for DreamCon. That has been something that has at least been on my bucket list for quite some time. So it's something that I definitely want to try for next year. Now, how and what kind of panel I'm gonna have, I don't know if it's gonna be anything similar to the Pass the Aux panel that we did in Anime NYC and at BlerDCon, but it may be something different. We'll just have to wait and see. I got a year to come up with something, so hopefully I'll be able to give you guys something that you would look forward to if I were to apply for a DreamCon panel. So just be on the lookout for that. I am going to be applying to some different other cons here as well. Unfortunately, Anime NYC put us on a wait list, so it's like if I don't hear anything by July 17th, I'm just going to chalk it up as a loss. It is what it is. Kind of sucks because I was kind of banking on if I can just get Anime NYC, then I'm good for these summer cons. And yeah, it's just kind of in limbo right now. But that being said, I'm not mad about it anymore. I'm not really upset. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. These things happen when you apply to cons. I'm just got to keep going. I am going to reapply to BlerDCon for next year and try to make my presence known in other cons as well. Like we are not stopping, man. I just gotta find the cons that will accept us, and then of course do different things in order to be accepted at these cons and try to do different panels and try to get creative with it. So we shall see, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, in between time, I want to go ahead and at least get into some of these topics. The biggest topic that, or one of the biggest topics that I really, really wanted to talk about was something regarding Black media. And I wish Sappy was here so that way she could actually chime in on this because Sappy is our avid reader. And this series I wanted to get into as well. And I still plan on getting into, but it's just so crazy that we see an article or we're hearing news outlets talk about this particular movie, and it has to deal with Children of Blood and Bone. Now, the movie is planning on dropping in January. However, the author, Tomi Adeyemi, she does not want any part of this movie anymore. She don't want to see it. She don't want to hear about it. She don't want to talk about it. She just says that it's been awful. And that is really crazy because that could only mean that there was some shenanigans behind the scene that she did not appreciate. What I do want to do, at least for those who are watching, I do want to bring up the article on Deadline that I found, and we can read more about it. But yeah, obviously there has been some shenanigans going on in the background that have really, really just caused a lot of pain for Miss Adeyemi. If I can go ahead and share my screen here really quickly, give me one moment and I will pull this up. And there we go. So, as you can see, as Tomi Adeyemi's 2008 young adult novel makes its way to the big screen, she has no plans to watch the first film adaptation of her work. The Children of Blood and Bone author recently addressed a fan's question about why she hasn't spoken more about the upcoming Dina Prince Bythewood helmed Paramount adaptation premiering January 15th. I think that's how you say the last name. There is a reason I will not post anything about the adaptation of my work. That's all Adeyemi wrote in DMs she shared on TikTok. And lastly, since someone asked, I have not seen the film and I will not watch it, added Adeyemi, who also co-wrote the film with Prince Bythewood. It's been painful holding this back from you all, and I'm sorry if any of you thought I didn't care about us more than any glitter. Adeyemi also shared a screenshot of a DM she apparently sent to Amanda Stenberg, who plays Princess Amari in the film adaptation. Do not ever use my name in an interview or video again. Do not text me. Do not call me, she wrote to Stenberg. Deadline has reached out to Stenberg's rep. The message was dated in late February, shortly after Stenberg responded to accusations of stealing roles from dark-skinned women, as many fans noted the character is described in the book as having dark copper skin. I had the opportunity to meet Tomi, the novelist, for the first time, said Stenberg at the time. Then she goes, Amanda, I want you to know that when you were a little girl and were cast as Rue in the Hunger Games, and you had these racist remarks thrown at you because people said that Rue's death wouldn't be as sad because you're a Black girl, that inspired me to write this series so that Black girls like you and Black girls of all shades could have a story written about them. We just started crying, and I said to myself, God wants me here. Based on the book in Adeyemi's legacy of Orisha trilogy, Children of Blood and Bone is set in an African fantasy kingdom where a young woman goes on a quest to reclaim the magic that was violently stolen from her people. She and her brother ally with the daughter and son of the king to fight back against his brutal rule. This cast also includes Tuso Mbedu, Tosin Cole, Damson Idris, Cynthia Erivo, oh goodness, Lashana Lynch, Idris Elba, Chitwele Ejiofor, Regina King, Viola Davis, and more. So this is a star-studded cast. Wow. Okay. So I didn't know that there were that many stars that were involved in this movie, but I do want to comment on that because, frankly, if an author is feeling that way about a film adaptation of her work, that must mean some shit must have went down behind the scenes. As you can tell, like she co-wrote the script with Prince Bythewood, and somewhere along the line, her and Gina probably just didn't see eye to eye. I don't know where the fallout was because Tomi won't say it, but it must have been very serious. And then we all know what these studios will do to certain people's works if they want to take certain, creative liberties with how a film is supposed to be, or rather, a book is supposed to be adapted into a film. And I'm pretty sure that if Tomi doesn't want anything to do with this, that must means that the studio must have taken certain liberties that she vehemently disagreed with. I wish I knew exactly what went into this, and I wish I knew more about, Tomi's feelings and why she feels that way towards the cast and the actual studio itself. But something must have went down for her to feel that way. And honestly, like that's something that I wish I could understand more because, frankly, when studios do certain things that you feel as though you don't recognize your work anymore, that says a lot. But also, it talks about the society we live in. Look who owns Paramount. It's Paramount Skydance. Look who's at the top of the actual organization itself. Now, with that being said, look at how they pretty much did a violent or hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, and as far as purchasing it and outbidding Netflix. Now, I'm not saying that Netflix itself isn't, a hostile studio. I'm not saying like there's other studios that are hostile as well, but you have to at least imagine that behind the scenes, someone in that studio was doing something that Tomi did not appreciate. And so I'm hoping that, if this film comes out, and I hate to be on this side, but if the author itself is not going to watch it, and if the author itself doesn't care about the work that the studio did, or rather she really doesn't appreciate what they did, then for me, I think that's a clear sign that I don't need to watch this movie either. If anything, I'm probably just going to go ahead and read the books and hope that another studio can pick it up. I'm hoping that Tomi can find another studio that will be able to actually get her work out there. Maybe she can take it to Netflix to form an actual series because, in my personal and honest opinion, I think it's better for book series to be adapted into television series as opposed to movies, because with movies you have a certain time frame that you have to fit it in, but with across a television series, you could tell the story more appropriately and you're able to add in things that you would not be able to add in from a movie perspective. But that being said, I don't know what Tomi wants to do. I don't know if she plans on ever getting this adapted into a television series. I don't even know if she wants the rest of her books to be adapted into a film series. I wish I could talk to her, and I might still try to email her, DM her, and see if she would, be able to come in and talk about it. I am an indie podcast, but that being said, I'm willing to try. But either way, that just says a lot about what would be going on behind the scenes, because I think it's very important that the author has their vision respected by whatever studio is adapting their work. And if the studio itself is not respecting the author and their creative vision, then chances are it's going to be a shit show. And the fact that it's coming out in January during a film, when movies come out in January, it's really more of a movie dump. You got your summer blockbusters, you got the fall category where these movies are basically up for these awards, and January is really just kind of like a, I don't want to call it a dead area, but it does feel like a dead zone for movies. So the fact that it's dropping in January and with everything going on, it feels like this movie is being set up to fail on purpose. So all we can do is just go and abide by the author's wishes and vision. And hopefully she will get the support that she needs to actually make her vision a reality. And I'm hoping that one of these studios out here that's not under Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers will be able to make her vision come true. So there is still Netflix, excuse me. There is still uh Comcast slash NBC Universal. They could probably do something with it. There's still Disney. Mm, I mean, yeah, if she wants to take it to the House of Mouse, then by all means, she could. I'm pretty sure Disney wouldn't have a problem with it. And listen, I don't want to say that I don't have faith in Disney, because what Disney did with Star Wars is a lot to be desired. But what Disney has done with the other book series with Percy Jackson, hey, that shows me that if you just get the right director and the right creative team behind what she's doing, then great. And then she doesn't even have to go to like a major studio. Maybe she goes to a black-owned studio. I don't know if Tyler Perry would be able to pick up something like that, because we all know Tyler Perry more so talks about, or at least he specializes in like black novellas than he would an actual series like a fantasy series like this. But who's to say that he wouldn't at least be up to try? Or maybe another black owned studio, or maybe another indie studio. Who knows? She has options. I'm just hoping that Paramount Skydance does not have like a grip on the licensing, and that they're going to uh pretty much have an iron grip on that and not let her tell her story in the way that she wants to be for it to be told. But it seems like that's the case. I'm just hoping that after this first film, they decided that they're not going to try to make a film adaptation of any of the other books, and that she's able to go to another studio and have it be told correctly and the way that she wants it to be told. So that's all that I can say. And maybe she doesn't want it to be adapted into a film or television series. And if that's the case, then by all means, that is her right. This is her work. So, I would love to see a black series finally get some recognition, or get some more recognition. But at the end of the day, it's up to the author to decide on what happens with her series. So my prayers and my thoughts are going out to Tomi Adeyemi. I hope that she's able to, get through this situation, and that she's able to at least come to grips with it and is able to produce the work that she wants to produce. That being said, I wonder what happened behind the scenes between her and Amanda Stenberg, because that is crazy. Like, Amanda Stenberg has been getting like a lot of flack lately. And some of it, when she first started acting, a lot of it was just like, okay, that's unwarranted. But now, as of recently, it's just like, damn, why is Amanda getting all this heat? And now Tomi told her, don't call me, don't text me, don't DM me, don't talk about me no more. I want to know what happened. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that situation, because shit, that would be interesting to find out what happened between them and why they aren't, or why they don't see eye to eye. But anyway, that is what's happening in black movies and whatnot. That is something that I definitely wanted to point out. The other thing that we really gotta talk about, and this one is kind of a sketchy subject, is the whole thing going on with Young Miami and India.Arie with Spin That. Now, I really wanted to be careful when talking about this, because this is one of those things where it could be like such a fine line. And I'm going to try to be like unbiased as possible, because frankly, I don't want to really take sides, but at the same time, I kind of lean more towards India.Arie's viewpoint. That being said, I kind of get it, but anyway, let's dive deep into this actual subject. So basically, India.Arie was getting flack because a lot of media outlets had said that she was calling for a boycott of Young Miami's song "Spin That." And if you look deeper, India.Arie was not calling for a boycott. However, that doesn't mean that she necessarily liked the song, and she had some commentary about it. So I'm also going to share this article again, just because I think that it's more prevalent to actually read an article than for me to try to like break it down for you piece by piece here. But anyway, let me go ahead and share my screen. And it's crazy that I'm using complex because complex is in a certain person's pocket, but I ain't gonna go there. All right, it says India.Arie doubles down on Spin That and music executives' criticism. Make wise choices, y'all. Of course, she had some commentary on Clive Davis, who just recently passed, and we all know Clive Davis was not the most liked figure in music. Yes, we know that he found a lot of acts, broke a lot of records, and was at the top of the music industry. But Clive Davis as a person, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of skeletons in that closet that has not been opened yet, that will eventually get opened in the months to come. But anyway, back to the article. India.Arie has doubled down on her criticism of Young Miami Spin That and the legacy of the late music executive Clive Davis. In a video post shared on her Substack titled Clarity, Coercion, Celebration, the Grammy-winning singer-songwriter clarified that she doesn't think people should boycott Miami's rising hit, but she does think listeners need to be more aware of what they're supporting. She also used the opportunity to celebrate the 20th anniversary of her third studio album, Testimony Volume 1, Life and Relationship, but stressed that it was wrongly reported that she was the one calling for a boycott of the song. I did not call for a boycott. I commented on someone's thread calling for a boycott, she said. I think people should learn how to do what's best for them. That's what I want for people. I want you to have an understanding of what's good for you and have the love for yourself to do it. That's what I want. But also, who cares what I want for you? I know what I want for me, and I do what is best for me. I think people just need to make choices for themselves. The four-time Grammy Award winner co-signed the Threads post that called for a boycott of the track. I believe it's degrading to our culture, the user wrote. At some point, we have to take seriously the power music has over our perception and the values it reinforces. This can't be the song of the summer. Arie responded and suggested she's not a fan of Spin That either. I spent my entire adult life caring way too much, she wrote, because I finally learned that not everybody cares with a capital C, and explaining it to them is not going to make them care. Everything you listen or see or eat is going to influence you. So make wise choices, y'all. All right, I'm not going to get into the whole situation with Clive Davis, but let me see if let's play the video.
Oh boy. Hello. Hey, hello.
I don't even know if I'm gonna.
That's the Erykah Badu version, by the way. Hello. Hey, hello. Okay. I have marks from my glasses. My third album, Testimony Volume 1, Life and Relationship, turned 20 years old on Friday the 27th. It snuck up on me. Somebody had to tell me. And so that's why I'm making a video right now instead of writing about this on my Substack, which if you know me, you know, I like writing on my Substack. And you don't need to see that bowl back there. Okay. And I've been in the blogs a couple times this last week. And so I wanted to come and talk about these things. Let's talk about the easy one first. Mm-hmm. It is being wrongly reported that I think we should boycott this song of the summer. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I refuse to sing that song, but either you know what it is or you don't. And if you don't, you can go find it. It's very easy. But I don't think we should boycott. What I want is to see people understand the power of words and music and to make choices that are healthy for them. That's what I want. Do I think it matters what I want for people? No. I have finally learned that it doesn't matter and that there's no amount of sacrificing my life force energy that is going to make anybody want anything better for themselves. All I can do is emanate what I emanate, stand for what I stand for, and hope that it reaches who it's meant to reach. And that's it. And that's all I'm going to do. And so my comment makes it very clear that I don't think we should boycott. My comment is tantamount to everybody doesn't want the same thing. And there are a lot of people who are saying it's just a song. Well, if that's what you think, enjoy. But what I know is that music has power. But of course, I have used that power to help some people. And I have traveled around this world twice. And I see the impact of what we export out of the Black American experience to the rest of the world. Longer story for another time, but I've seen it. So I know, and I'm telling you what it is, but you enjoy if that's what you want to do. And I will enjoy doing what I want to do. And that's why I don't think anybody needs to boycott. I think people just need to make choices for themselves. That's what I think. That's one. Two, also, this is a short version of a longer video. I put a much longer video where I go into detail about these concepts on my Substack. So go check that out if you're interested. Two, I was also in the blog.
All right. So I think that gets to the point. For me, really, there's nothing wrong with what she said. Like, she's not calling for a boycott. And pretty much she's just saying, if that's the music that you want to listen to, and if you feel like it's just a song, that's fine. I think that what India.Arie was really getting into was that these songs can, and there are times where songs can influence you. And I think her argument is that, what you put in is what you put out. So anything as far as like music, we know the power of music. Anything that you absorb is what is going to be brought out into the universe. And I think that's the point that she was trying to make. She's not necessarily saying, oh, we should boycott the song or the song should have never been made. But she knows that one, the energy that song provides doesn't necessarily, fit her taste. And she thinks that just people need to be more aware of what they consume as far as music. Now, with that being said, yes, we know that when India.Arie had songs like Video Out, that there were songs that, did still talk about scamming. Let's talk about Blue Cantrell's Hit 'Em Up Style. That is, somebody who caught her man cheating, and so she ran up his credit cards. I mean, it is what it is. But I think that when India.Arie was releasing music back in like the early 2000s, I mean, she's still making music now, but in general, when that song came out, when Video came out, and when Brown Skin came out on the radio, it was still very much a balance as far as positive music and, of course, doing hood shit or doing nigga shit. You had that balance. You had the ratchet raps, but you also had the positive raps. In the same year, 2001, Kaya released My Neck, My Back. In that same year, we got what song released in 2001? A lot of Nelly songs were out in 2001. That's what I can tell you. Like, that whole Country Grammar album was pretty much in 2001, and I don't think that's necessarily like, it's not positive rap, but that's not on the same level as My Neck, My Back. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, in 2001, we also had Jay-Z release The Blueprint. We had Nas release Stillmatic. So yeah, like, there was a balance as far as rapping and as far as R&B, just like we had what I said with Blue Cantrell's Hit 'Em Up Style. We also had not in 2001, but I'm just saying, like, there was still positive music out there. And now I'm about to sit here and like get Jill Scott, because that's when she dropped her debut album. So there was still that balance of, the ratchet R&B, the neo soul R&B, and the typical pop R&B. And it was the same thing with rap. You had, niggas who could spit and tell stories. You had those who, fit more into that pop lane, and then you had the nasty niggas. In the same breath that we were getting, some real shit, is the same, in a different lane, we was getting stuff from Trina and from Kaya and from anybody else like Trick Daddy. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about as I bring up Trick Daddy's name is that I don't think India.Arie's response on Threads really were, I don't think it deserved the backlash that it got, because Trick Daddy went on to social media and was talking shit about India.Arie, and sadly, Uncle Luke, who is running for Congress in Florida, also did the same thing. Mind you, these niggas are in late 50s and mid 60s. And granted, we know the kind of music that Luke and Trick Daddy made. Hell, I'm not ashamed to say it's Scarred is still one of my favorite tracks by both of them. So I'm just saying. But that being said, I don't think their response was warranted. I think that it just went a little too far because I think that people thought that India.Arie was hating and that she was trying to come off as, oh, she's trying to boycott Young Miami, or she wants, Young Miami to make, positive music. Well, now we know that ain't Young Miami's lane. What India.Arie was pretty much just describing is that she just wants people to be sure that they know what they're consuming and that they know to make wise choices. Because at the end of the day, when we look at mainstream music or mainstream rap music right now, you're not going to hear anything positive. Especially like on the radio, they're not going to push the positive songs. They're not going to push the real spitters anymore for real, unless it's Kendrick. And I mean, if you want to include Drake in that or J. Cole in that, I mean, you could. But still, if it's not the big three, as far as positive messages and rap or niggas really rapping, radio ain't gonna play it. Which is a shame because the radio back then, from, if we're including rap and R&B in this conversation, from the 80s all the way up to the 2000s, there was a balance. That balance doesn't exist anymore. And so now in mainstream, all you have is trap music and songs like Spin That. And again, I'm not taking away from what Young Miami does because honestly, Young Miami, that is her lane. That is who she is. The girl was literally shacked up with Diddy. Yo, that is who Carisha is. That's the kind of music she's going to make because she don't know anything else. And that's not a knock on her. I'm just saying that that's what it is. But that being said, when every song or when every hip hop song or when every track comes out on the radio and it's stuff that is similar to Spin That, and we don't get a balance or anything to balance it out, what do we get? A bunch of foolishness. And that brings me to a point in my old job. When I used to work in that Amazon warehouse, and I'm not going to say any names because of confidentiality reasons, but there were people who were older than me who only listened to trap music. And that's all they wanted to hear because that was all that they knew. And it really bothered me because I'm like, how are you 10, 15, 20 years older than me working in this warehouse and all you want to do is listen to trap? You don't want to listen to anything from the 70s, 80s, or the 90s, or the 2000s even? That's the music you grew up with. I had to be taught what it was. For context, I'm a 90s kid. So of course, I heard songs from the 70s and 80s, but that was my parents and my brother's generation. And granted, yes, I grew up with 90s music, and I love it to this day. So of course, that is going to be, between the 90s and the 2000s, that's the music that's going to relate to me the most. But to see that people who were 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than me, all they wanted to listen to was trap music and ratchet music, that was alarming. Because I just had to sit there and go like, did your parents not like play this music all the time? When you were riding in your mom's car, did you not hear George Clinton and Funkadelic in Parliament blasting through your speakers? Were you not listening to Shalimar? Did you not turn around and Luther was playing? Or Freddie Jackson? Or the Isley Brothers? Or the Gap Band? Was none of that going through the speakers of your mom's car when she was taking you to school? Or when y'all were cleaning up the house? What did she clean the house to? Was she not cleaning up to oh goodness, man. Was she not cleaning up to some of the oldies, the classics? No Delphonics, no Stylistics. Like, really? We you didn't have Anita Baker playing in the early in the morning or late at night? That's what really like just gets me, is just that there's just no balance. And I think that situation just really alarmed me. And it really struck me as, wow, it's crazy how, Black people, when it comes to our culture, I say that we're not a monolith, but it's just crazy how we can grow up with similarities, but grow up completely different and have completely different lifestyles, just purely based on, who our family is and, how we were treated growing up and basically our parents' taste or our personal taste. It just really alarmed me that someone who has at least 10 years on me only wanted to listen to Young Boy Never Broke Again. I found that striking. So I say all of that to say that I think India.Arie just had a point that there's no balance anymore. And yes, you can have songs like Spin That. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's your preference, that's your preference. But it's just alarming to see that that's your only preference. I get that you don't want to listen to like real rap on the way to the club, or you don't want to listen to like stories or lyricism while you getting ready to go to the club if you still go out and club. At the same time, it's crazy that you don't listen to anything else in the household as well. When you alone time sitting by yourself contemplating life and trying to figure things out, you just what the first thing you do is turn on trap music. Kind of weird. I say that like it's okay to have your musical preferences, but for me, if I don't have a variety of music, I don't know how I would make it. I said in the last episode, hip hop saved my life. And at the same time, like I can listen to trap music and I can listen to different styles of rap. I relate more to those who are lyricists and storytellers because that is who put me on for real, for real. I had an older brother and an older cousin. Shoot, my older cousin put my older brother on the Outkast. And then he subsequently put me on the Outkast. My older cousin, when we used to ride in his car, he was playing Redman. So this is what I know. I know the dudes who will get on the mic and set it ablaze. I'm just saying. We just need to find balance. Do what you want. Music is very subjective. You like what you like. I'm not going to deter you from that. But also there just needs to be balance. And I'll also say when it comes to a lot of rappers out there now, there just seems to be a lack of literary devices in their raps. And I hate to say that, but there was a user on X/Twitter who made that commentary about a lot of the rappers who were coming up know anything about literary devices and really just don't know how to read, period. The vocabulary was severely lacking is the main point that she was making. And she really pointed out how a lot of rappers nowadays don't use those literary devices anymore. And she almost nailed the point home until she said that that's why Drake is above all of his peers. And I just had to like shake my head in disappointment because of all the people to use in that example. Drake is the first one that came to mind. Not Black Thought, not Tech Nine, not Busta Rhymes, not Wheezy, not I'm trying to think of some other rappers off the top of my head. I'm not even trying to name the big three, but just out of all the rappers, not Guru, not Wu-Tang Clan, and it could be any rapper in the Wu-Tang Clan. Not goodness gracious, Drake was the first person that came to mind. again, if that's your favorite artist, I mean, by all means, as I said before, like Drake don't make music for me no more. I'm not a hater. I think Drake makes music and he makes good music, but it's just not for me anymore. It is what it is. But anyway, to get off this subject, man, I just think that the backlash towards India.Arie was not warranted for real, for real. I think people really just like took it like very, very much out of context. You even got Young Miami and her producer mashing up Spin That with India.Arie song video, and I just like that. I really think that that shows more insecurity than it does, you trying to be petty. But that's just me personally. And also, I think who also said that as well. I almost said Rob Martin, not Rob Martin. Goodness gracious, no. Curtis King had said that on one of his episodes as well, that he believes that the producer Jay White doing that shows that he was more insecure about this than he was being petty. But that being said, I just wish that people would get back into the schools and actually listen and read, because it's like you hear something and then your first thought is to react to it instead of reading for context or listening for context and understanding where that person is coming from. But by all means, I'm gonna leave this one alone. Still, I think that if I'm being honest, Spin That is a nice song for the summer. It don't fit my vibe because it's not directed at me. But as I said, I ain't a scamming ass nigga. Such is life. Anyway, now that is over with, the last thing that I just want to talk about real quick before we get up out of here is something that really just, I think, caused a lot of not controversy, but yeah, it did cause a lot of controversy across those of us who are gamers. Now, if you didn't get the news, obviously, PlayStation and Sony have decided that when 2028 rolls around, they will discontinue selling physical copies of games and only go for digital copies only. And this is coming from somebody who only has a digital only PS5. I think that is stupid. That is a quick way for your fan base and your consumer base to turn against you. We always talk about the importance of owning physical media. And again, this is coming from somebody who has a digital PS5 because he could not afford the one to play physical disc at the time. It's so important for us to be able to have that physical media because that shows direct ownership. You take away the CDs, at which point, who's to say that Sony won't give you a game and then decide, hey, you know what, we're going to take that game away from you because we own the rights to the digital access. And now you can't even play your favorite game anymore because it's all digital and Sony just took it away. I think that is so, excuse my language, fucking stupid. Sony, I don't know what gave you that idea to do that. I know that we're entering a more digital age, but to completely get rid of CDs, I don't think that's wise. You're going to send people, more hordes of people back to Nintendo because Nintendo continues to sell physical copies. And now Nintendo has found a formula that works. Because we all know that, before the Wii and before the Switch, Nintendo was having some up and down years. I will personally say that the GameCube was a great console, but not everybody had GameCube. And so we know how hit and miss certain Nintendo consoles could be, but I think they found a formula that works. I don't know what the hell Xbox got going on. Honestly, I don't. They've made so many missteps and continue to make missteps. I'm just like, I don't even know. And Xbox got great games. I think it's just that the Xbox platform itself has just been making some dumbass decisions. But again, I think it is a mistake for Sony to get rid of physical copies. And if they don't back down, I sincerely think that it's going to cost them in the long run. I fully expect people to not buy a PS6 if they continue with this this policy. More people are probably going to invest in Nintendo. More people are probably going to invest in PC. The Steam machine is going to come out, and granted, the Steam machine is expensive as get out. But yet, I think people are going to find the charm in it and invest in it. Do I think that's wise? Not necessarily, because goodness gracious, those prices are going to jack up. But I think going to being a completely digital console is also going to jack up prices, not only for games, because the game prices have already jacked up, but that's another reason for prices to be jacked up, because now you can dictate those prices. Even more so now because it's only digital copies. And we won't be able to buy them in stores anymore. I mean, granted, you're not really going to be able to buy games in GameStop anyway at this rate. GameStop at this point, I think, I don't know what GameStop is going to do, and I don't know what these other game stores are going to do, but I will say this, that I just think that is a terrible decision, and I really hope that Sony gets their act together, because I foresee that if they don't turn this around, that it could crash their entire game model, and people, despite the PlayStation exclusives, they're not going to want to return. So I'm hoping PlayStation gets their act together. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to talk about, because frankly, it just needs to be said. With that in mind, one more thing. We got, it's the summertime. We always want to talk about summer anime, because we have not talked about anime in such a long time. So naturally, with the summer coming up, we want to definitely talk about what is coming this summer, and what we are interested in watching. I don't have any list on me right now, because my iPad unfortunately is in Charleston, South Carolina. I made a dumbass decision and left that joint right at my mom's house, so I'm hoping she's able to bring it up this week. But that being said, I do at least want to look at myanimelist.net and check out all the summer anime that are supposed to be coming out. One of the things I, of course, want to talk about, we already know Bleach, the final core for the 1,000-Year Blood War, is going to be coming here this summer. I am ready for that. I'm ready for this shit. Of course, if you saw the movie, please don't spoil it. But yeah. All right, let's get into this. Let me go ahead and share my screen once again. And there we go. So, of course, we got Jobless Reincarnation Season 3. Mushoku Tensei is coming back. Peak. Season 2 of Saga of Tanya the Evil. Ooh, let's get into it. Yeah, definitely got to check this out. There's an anime out right now called Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. I have not heard anything about it, but please, y'all, let me know if it's any good, because I've seen it pop up on my For You list on Crunchyroll, and I definitely want to check it out. But we already talked about Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, The Calamity. Let's get into it. For July, we also got Trapped in a Dating Sim. The world. Oh, Trapped in a Dating Sim is coming back. Let's go. I'm ready for this next season. I'm ready for it. All right, we got goodness gracious. Let me not trip over my words. We got Grand Blue Season 3. I have not seen Grand Blue, so I'm going to tell somebody, if the first 2 seasons are worth watching. I'm going to ask somebody if they are. So let's get into that. We got Skeleton Knight in Another World Season 2. I had mixed I got some mixed reviews on Season 1. But I'm still going to check it out. I think it'll probably be worth it. Of course, Clevitis Season 2. Let's go. Ready for that season. Let's get it. We've got You and I Are Polar Opposites Season 2. Ooh, that'll be interesting. And yes, guys, I also watch Slice of Life anime as well. I'm not just a meathead, I promise. And the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, I haven't checked that one out yet. Some people told me it's actually a good watch. I will probably, get into that sooner rather than later. We got a new anime coming out called Black Torch. I'm ready for that. We have a new Ghost in the Shell series. Y'all already know how I feel about my Ghost in the Shell. Y'all know how I feel about my cyberpunk anime. Let's get into it. We got another season of From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman that was out on Amazon Prime. I started that. I'm like on episode 4. I gotta finish it. So yeah, I'm behind on a lot of anime, but yeah. Ooh, The Elusive Samurai season 2. That deserves a Vine boom. On top of that, let's get it. Like, yeah, we gotta I gotta give that out. Elusive Samurai was so good. If y'all haven't seen that anime, please be sure that you watch it. Like, it is such a great anime. Okay, we got a lot more. We got the Exiled Heavy Night Nose to game the system that's coming out here. Okay, that might be something for me to check out. Sparks of Tomorrow. I have no idea what that's about, but I'm somebody let me know how that works. We got From Overshadow to Overpower, Second Reincarnation. That's also coming out. I believe is that season 2? I think so. But anyway, I'm gonna keep that on my list. The Village of Level 999. Well, y'all know how I feel about my overpowered characters. I will be tuning in. Apparently, it's already dropped because it dropped on the 2nd. So there's that. A lot of summer anime to try to keep up with. You got The Cat and the Dragon, which I heard some good things about. The World is Dancing. I haven't heard anything about that one. Quite a few bangers that are coming out during the summer. Tomb Raider King. I definitely heard about that one. I'm gonna keep that on my list, and I'm gonna keep an eye on that one. Hopefully, it's good. I'm hoping that it's good. And I'm trying to see if there's any other anime that have piqued my interest while looking at this list, because this is it's hard to keep up with, guys. Like, it's just a lot of anime. But in any case, if there is an anime that you recommend for the summer, please let me know, because I got to get back into my anime bag because I fell behind with working long hours and just being out of the picture. I finally finished Dr. Stone, and I must say, like, I just want to I just gotta say, like, bravo. I loved it. One of my favorite series. I've loved all the characters. Shout out to Suika. She was the real MVP, and it made you fall in love with all of the characters, even the ones who started off as villains. That's what I really liked about this series. Now, of course, the final villain, the the reveal of why, man, I kind of feel the same way that Rob J did. Shout out to Rob J. But at the same time, I wasn't mad at it. And I kind of figured that that's the route that they were going. I'm like, watch it be an alien technology, and it just so happens that that's what it was. So, with that in mind, I am satisfied with that series, and definitely a top tier series. If you have not watched Dr. Stone, please be sure that you do so. So, with the finish of Dr. Stone, I have to find some more anime to get into here. So, again, if there's an anime that's coming out in the summer that you would like to recommend, please be sure that you recommend it to me, and I will be sure to watch it, and I will let you know what I think about it. So, we will have more anime episodes. I keep saying that every year, but I promise you, especially for next season, we're going to talk more about these anime, because we've gotten away from it. We have not done Shogo in just about 2 years now, or rather a year and a half. I don't know if Shogo has ever coming back at this point. But that being said, I want a medium to be sure that we can talk about this anime. So if we don't do it, if we don't bring back Shogo, well, we can always do it here. So anyway, guys, that is a wrap for this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little solo escapade that I have. The next episode, assuming that Double XL drops these freestyles and drops these ciphers, we will be going over them and reacting to those. But that all depends on if they drop them. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. But before I do, y'all already know I'm going to go ahead and at least give this rundown one more time before we close out for the night. So as far as podcasts, once again, please be sure that you check out Inside the Mind of a BlerD. Please be sure that you also check out My Check Waifu. Big shout out, of course, to Dad Needs to Talk with Rob, the father of Vash. Big shout out to Geek Sec Podcast, Anime Junkies, 3 Weeds in the Podcast, Those Anime Girls, Black Geek Energy, and of course, Hip Hop Vibes Podcast. You know, I already know with my brother AJ. Big shout out to you, bro. Thank you for coming in and coming through last week. I really, really appreciated it. Goodness gracious, cannot type. Anyway, shout out to our Black authors, Kay Renee and Elena Graham. For our Black content creators, big shout out, of course, to Off Black Mag with Aaron and the entire team. Big shout out to Tatted Poodle. More on that later. Big shout out to the Geechee Gamer and our other streamers, of course, Shelby with Simply Janine, Simply Baked, and Rose Less Traveled. Big shout out to Strange Keith, Toasty Marshmallow. Shout out to the Corner 5. That's Simone, Courtney 5, Chris, and Sham. Big shout out to Scuba Steve and Alpha with BlerD Mod Productions. Big shout out, of course, to Yup, That's D. Shout out to Cleopatra. More on her later. And, of course, shout out to Carabits. And for our Black artists, again, shout out to NASA, Scoozy, Jack Union, Phil Me, Ellis Quinn, RJ Stackhouse, Quarter, Tyrone Lee Jr., Ariel Shell, Zach Hines and Fortresses, Elena Zaynab, and Imogen. And, of course, for our Black businesses, big shout out to Fresh Nurse, Righteous Minds with Timo. Big shout out to Studio Maho with Pat and Yin, Concept Moon, She Designs 2 with Aaron, Black Magic / Lit Wands with Lone T, H4 Creative by Zenobia, Real Estate Stone by Meredith, So by Bell Mom Mariah, and Scrappy Sentiment with Sappy. And be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Chaotic Culture Podcast on your favorite DSP. Please, of course, you be sure that you check us out all across social media at Facebook at Chaotic Culture Podcast. You can also check us out on Twitter /X at Chaotic Culture 1. You can check us over at Blue Sky at chaoticculture.bsky.social. And for all the other social media, that includes Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, you can catch us at Chaotic Culture Pod. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure that you like the video, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And of course, if you are a member of the D9 organization of any kind, please be sure that you hit me up so that way we can get you involved with BlerD9 or Divine Nine Blerds. Big shout out to BlerD9 for being a I don't want to call them sponsor because they don't pay me, but big shout out to BlerD9. I'm gonna call them like one of my affiliates because I am a member of BlerD9. So once again, please be sure that you hit me up if you are BlerD and are a member of a D9 organization and you are looking for a safe space to discuss BlerD activity as well as D9 activity. And of course, once again, you can follow me, Ked the Pro. That's K3D the Pro on all social media. Of course, you can follow all my co-hosts at their social media. You can follow Scuba Steve at Scuba Steve 1428 on all social media. You can follow Sappy at Scraps14 on all social media. And of course, you can follow Law on X at Law96_ and on Instagram at L.JR_96. And with that, this has been another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, chaos rules, be blessed, be safe, God is love, and we are out of here. Deuces.
So what's the word?
You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast. And